Mrs. War was the winner, Britain's most glamorous fatty.
From ancient goddesses to Instagram icons, the ideal female body has constantly evolved, from slender to curvy, twiggy to toned. If we can trace the patterns throughout history, we can not only predict where it's heading next, but start to question what the ideal body ever really meant in the first place. This is the woman of Willingdorf, the oldest discovered figure of a woman. It's believed to be almost 30,000 years old. Some say she was a fertility charm, a sign of prosperity and abundance, in a time where food was scarce. But another theory is that it's a self-portrait of a woman, her shape exaggerated because of how she saw her own body without a mirror. She's probably not a prehistoric body positivity figure, but in truth, we don't know for sure. Only that the ideal looked very different in ancient Egypt. Slender limbs, a high waist, and narrow shoulders are the traits which can be seen amongst ancient statues, Hatshepsut, and tomb paintings. Beauty was about order, fertility, and divine connection. Whether it was Isis, the god of magic and motherhood, or Queen Nefertiti, whose name literally means the beautiful one has come, many women dyed their wigs blue, a colour associated with the gods, signifying divinity and high status. It's believed the pharaoh Cleopatra maintained her beauty with baths of sour donkey milk and crocodile dung face masks. Many of the artifacts discovered in the tombs of women were cosmetic equipment, including mirrors, combs, spoons, razors, and jewellery boxes. Looking good wasn't just for show, it was a sacred act. Statues from the classical period revealed more of a preference for soft curves, fuller hips, and rounded bellies, signs of fertility and prosperity, as seen in depictions of Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. Her form celebrated in temples, poetry, and sculpture. Depending on the region, female statues range from more curvy to the more athletic Spartan form. Pale skin was prized, since tan skin was associated with the lower class, who didn't possess the luxury of staying indoors, and men who were working outside or wrestling each other naked. Descriptions of women with white arms and doe eyes appear frequently in poetry and myth. To meet these ideals, Greek women turned to beauty rituals, including a poisonous, lead-based white makeup. However, the Greeks' beauty standards were mild, compared to the Chinese golden lotus trend. Throughout history, women have gone to crazy lengths to meet beauty standards. And it got me thinking, what insane beauty rituals did my ancestors participate in? Were they Japanese, dyeing their teeth black, or Nigerians being fed in fattening rooms before getting married? Probably not, but to find out, I did a DNA test with today's sponsor, MyHeritage, who are currently running a promo that makes them the cheapest DNA kit in the world. They push you the kit, and all it takes is a quick cheek swab, and you can send it back. They state in their privacy policy that they'll never sell all licensed data to anyone, which is nice. You can also use it to colorize, repair, or restore your older photos. Like this Victorian snake charmer I found while researching. After a few weeks, you'll get your results sent back to you by email, which I'm just about to open now for the first time. So I'm 35% English, which is actually surprisingly low, 21% Maltese, and 16% Scottish and Welsh. So it's mostly Victorian beauty standards, and then we've got some Mediterranean as well. And we're going to be looking at the Victorian beauty standards in a bit. It also matches you to anyone in the MyHeritage database, so you can find more family members to get in touch with or to avoid. If you're interested, you can use my discount code JOSH29. For a limited time, this will drop the price to just $29, making it significantly cheaper than most DNA tests on the market. I've ordered multiple of these over the past few years because they make good gifts, and I genuinely think it's a solid product. I put a lot of time into making these videos, so thanks to MyHeritage and you for watching, for helping me to keep creating. In 10th century China, the ideal is often presented as small, delicate, and modest. Beauty is about subtlety and elegance, as highlighted by a peculiar practice popular amongst elite women, known as foot binding, a painful process where young girls' feet were tightly wrapped to break, bending the bones and forcing them to stay small. The most desirable bride possessed a 3-inch foot, known as a golden lotus. It was respectable to have 4-inch feet, a silver lotus, but 5 inches or longer were dismissed as iron lotuses. It was about appearing fragile, graceful, and above the demands of manual labour, a practice that would fade out throughout history, but the desire to reshape the female body remained. In Victorian England, beauty took on a new form, this time by compressing the internal organs. It was all about narrow waists, Victorian girls were laced into corsets young to sculpt a small waist and the perfect posture of a proper woman. Many doctors raised concerns about corsets compressing internal organs and weakening muscles, but marriage was regarded as the best opportunity for a woman and a sign of her success. Some women actually tightened their corsets on purpose to rebel against critics who called it immoral. In an attempt to improve women's rights, a writer published an article on cycling for women, raising the point that a woman fell dreadfully ill after cycling while wearing a corset. Instead of adding to the pressure to abolish the corset, it fueled moves to stop women cycling. But physical activity was still encouraged. In the early 1900s, a series of women's body reviews were published in a magazine by Bernard McFadden, displaying a miserable build, ungainly figure, physically deficient and well-formed, stating fancy dancing exercises would make this figure very near perfect. Arsenic-laced creams and wafers promised pale, flawless skin, a marker of class for women who didn't toil under the sun. These practices were not without consequences. Many suffered from arsenic poisoning, and in 2015, scientists studied the skeletons of 24 women and found corsets had deformed every ribcage and misaligned each spine. So it was probably for the best that a new bolder ideal started gaining traction. The Gibson Girl emerged as the bold, independent face of the new woman. Tall, poised and elegant, with an hourglass figure, its illustrator, Charles Gibson, claims it was the blend of what he called thousands of American girls. Unlike the restrained and modest Victorian woman, the Gibson Girl was more independent and spirited, often shown cycling and reading, often outwitting dorky-looking men. Yet, she still embodied grace and refinement, a balance between tradition and progression. To find the real-life embodiment of his idealised Gibson Girl, Charles launched a contest with a prize of $2,000. It was the Belgian-born actress Camille Clifford who came first, becoming the living representation of the Gibson Girl. But by the 1920s, after World War I and the deadly Spanish flu, many young people felt like life could end at any moment, so the moderation of the Gibson Girl fell out of favour to the more extreme flapper. Instead of waiting around to get married, young women chose to enjoy their youth and freedom while they still could.
But if you wanted to have the boyish figure that was getting to be the rage, to be hipless and bustless, try a couple of terms at St. Winnie's.
The flapper ideal favoured a slim, boyish figure, flat chest, straight hips, and a bold, carefree attitude. Icons like Clara Bow and Louise Brooks ditched corsets for looser dresses, reflecting both the changing roles of women and a break from traditional constraints. Fashion was now dominated by female designers, such as Gabrielle Chanel, perhaps because she was more responsive to women's needs. But the Great Depression ended the flapper era, as women's styles became more practical and conservative, almost overnight. The ideal female body shifted towards a slimmer silhouette. This look emphasized elegance, practicality, and a polished appearance, influenced by Hollywood stars like Katharine Hepburn and Rita Hayworth. With millions of men off to fight the Second World War, women were encouraged to join the workforce, take on physical jobs, and keep society running.
This lady is slowly destroying the weaker sex myth.
Shoulder pads, boxy silhouettes, and utility dresses became the norm, designed to be practical for work, but still feminine. Beauty was still valued, but now it came with a message. Be attractive, but also capable, patriotic, and self-sacrificing. But when the war ended, so did the need for utility and toughness. By the 1950s, many women moved back from working in factories to the home, with one person perfectly fitting the new ideal.
I can be smart when it's important, but most men don't like it.
Marilyn Monroe became the face of 1950s beauty. She rose to fame in Hollywood with her charisma and on-screen presence, starring in hit films like The 7-Year Itch.
Sort of cools the ankles, doesn't it?
Just a few years later, in 1959, Ruth Handler introduced the Barbie, a bold new kind of doll designed to be aspirational for younger girls. A nice change from the creepy-looking baby dolls of the time. Barbie was something different. Slender, stylish, and self-assured, she embodied the era's evolving ideal of femininity. Icons like Grace Kelly, Audrey Hepburn, Jane Russell, Debbie Reynolds, Doris Day, and Jane Mansfield epitomized this glamorous aesthetic, while fashion designer Christian Dior, with his new look, marked a return to elegant, hourglass femininity.
At a Paddington London gymnasium, we pay a visit to the weaker sex.
But by the 1960s, women were pushing back, and beauty changed with them, slimmer, freer, and a lot less traditional. Slim, androgynous bodies became the new ideal, symbolising freedom from traditional roles. No one captured it better than British model Dame Leslie Lawson. nicknamed Twiggy for her physique. Models like Jean Shrimpton and Verushka helped cement this trend. But this wasn't just about style, it was also a quiet rebellion against the ideals of the 1950s. That said, the scale may have swung too far the other way. Literally. Barbie now came with a weight, stuck at 110 pounds, and a diet book that simply said, don't eat. There was a growing pressure to be thin, and dieting took centre stage. Although there was some attempt at inclusion. Kinda.
Mrs. War was the winner, Britain's most glamorous fatty.
But as the obsession with thinness intensified, the 1970s pushed back with something different, less rigid, more natural, and a lot more relaxed. The 1970s were a decade of contrast. Early on, the hippie movement embraced natural beauty. It was about being healthy, free-spirited, and in tune with nature. But many grew tired of protests, and gradually, the mood shifted from escapism to expression. Suddenly, beauty meant being bold, bronzed, and visibly fit. Icons like Donna Summer and Farrah Fawcett weren't just style stars, they were bodies to aspire to, and the fitness era was only just beginning. 1980s were the age of power, and that extended to physiques too. Thanks to the rise of aerobics, Jane Fonda workout tapes, and a new wave of fitness culture, the perfect woman was no longer just thin, she was lean, muscular, and full of energy. The goal was to be slim, but in a visibly athletic way, with the likes of Kathy Smith, Cher Fitness, Welch, Summers, Austin, and Olivia Newton-John. Muscles weren't just for men anymore, the gym became a space for women too, especially those aiming for a lean, sculpted, high-energy look, seen in magazines and music videos. Health was the new glamour. It was a perfect storm for the rise of a new type of model.
Do you find that models tend to be vain and shallow and superficial and...
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
The late 80s and early 90s saw the rise of the supermodel, becoming celebrities in their own right. The likes of Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, and Claudia Schiffer redefined beauty standards with their looks, height, and toned bodies, influencing not just fashion, but music, film, and beauty trends. But as supermodels became more commercial and mainstream, fashion began craving something edgier, something more raw and less polished. In the 1990s, the modelling industry took a sharp turn towards the ultra-thin, angular look, famously seen in models like Kate Moss, Angela Lindvall, and Stella Tennant. This look, known as the heroin chic aesthetic, was all about sharp angles and a lack of curves. It matched the time's darker, minimalist vibe, influenced by grunge, and a rejection of the over-the-top glamour that had come before. But many grew critical of the starvation diets that many models were undergoing to reach this look. During the 2000s, skinny was still idealized, but there was more of a focus on yoga and celebrity workouts. Idolized actors of the time included Cameron Diaz, Uma Thurman, Scarlett Johansson, Angelina Jolie, and Megan Fox. Ralph Lauren filed a model for being too fat, with her final images humorously edited to make her appear thinner. Maybe they just should have waited, because a new form of media was helping to shift the ideal from skinny to curvier.
Hi, I'm Kim Kardashian, and welcome to my workout series, Fit in Your Jeans by Friday.
With the rise of Instagram, social media influencers emerged. Reality stars, such as the Kardashians, popularized a curvier look. Plastic surgery took a sharp rise, while Beyoncé, to many, became the epitome of strength and beauty. Fit and toned, flawless physiques were rising to the top on social media, with many people now using Photoshop to reach unrealistic standards, a trend that drove the emergence of the Instagram versus reality subreddit, which exposes the tactics which are being used, with many advocating for more body positivity. While the mainstream ideal remained somewhere between skinny and more curvy, figures such as Lizzo, Tess Holliday, and Ashley Graham rose in the mainstream to help represent a more diverse range of bodies.
Why can't I do this? Like, why, if there's not a model that looks like me, why can't I be that model?
While the movement sparked change, critics say it's become too commercial or promotes obesity, while supporters argue it simply empowers heavier people to feel confident and get active. Then came TikTok, with personalized feeds and short-form content Trend frequency accelerated, shifting from ultra skinny to curvy, Pilates to powerlifting. On one side, self-acceptance and individuality. On the other, rapid-fire body trends. To help deal with this, a new movement gained traction, body neutrality, which focuses on accepting your body for what it does and not how it looks. Perhaps a healthier evolution of body positivity. But if we can learn anything from history, it's that there will be many more extreme trends. So what does the ideal look like now, and where's it going next? From K-pop slimness to samba curves, Polynesian strength to Japan's more delicate preference, the ideal female body has always mirrored cultural values, not a universal truth, reflecting unique histories, beliefs, and aesthetics. In fact, there's never been a single ideal body, only ones we choose to embrace. The more extreme the ideal, the faster it fades. With the rise of social media, it's more important than ever to recognize that chasing an illusion will always leave you empty, but choosing to prioritize health, fitness, and strong values, that's a timeless foundation. Because in a world with fleeting ideals, the only timeless standard is the one you set for yourself. Don't forget to check out MyHeritage, the sponsor of this video, in the description, to get access to what's currently the lowest priced DNA kit in the world. And if you'd like to see some of the trends on the male side, watch this video next.